Hey guys, it's Bo with Music in Minnesota, and we are here with Gabriel Rodreick.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, we're here at the house you grew up in.
Yeah, so my mom rented out the house to me, and there are 6 total people who live here right now. And she actually lives a half a block away on 32nd and Park.
She was your teacher, taught you how to play piano.
Yeah, for early on, but didn't last very long because I, was probably a nightmare. Like, just didn't want to practice. And
So you've been playing piano for 10 years, and you were well on your way to becoming a pretty great player. And then in 2008, you had a C5 spinal cord injury.
yeah, so I was on a foreign exchange trip down to Costa Rica, and we were there. I went with 20 other kids from around the U.S., and we were there a week, and I think it was a Saturday, we went swimming in the ocean, and I was body surfing into the shore, and then I'd run back out and dive in. And the last time that I dove in, somehow dove too shallow and hyperextended my neck. I don't know if it was a sandbar or just a complete miscalculation on my part. Because I don't know how many times I've done that here at the lakes. Like, you just run into the water and you dive in. And yeah, so I woke up, I was conscious underwater, face down, and was really confused, didn't really know what was happening. And eventually my friends who were there saw me and pulled me out and got me onto land, and went straight to the San Jose hospital, which was probably about 5 hours away. Got my surgery, my parents flew down. I was there for about a week and a half and flew back to Minneapolis. I was at Fairview for a week and a half, and then I was at Gillette Children's over at Regions for about 3 months doing rehab.
Wow.
So it's a very kind of surreal memory. Like, there's a lot of montages of lots of fluorescent lights and family, people coming and praying over me and all that. Nobody in my circle really knew how to handle it. My dad was, he worked at an ER for a long time, so he was fairly prepared for it. But like, once you get out of the acute stage, like, there's a lot to learn and a lot to figure out. But I lost some friends after the injury because they didn't really know how to deal with it, and I had a lot of anger towards them for a long time. But more recently, in the last few years, I've just kind of looked back on it, and like, it was just chaos. Like, nobody really knew how to handle that situation. And I gained some really good friends after the injury, and my parents, my support system was more than I could ask for. And there's a lot of people out there who don't have the similar support system that I have. So.
Who are some of the biggest supporters you have helping you out each day?
The biggest one right now is my roommate Jack. He is my caregiver. He plays music with me, goes on tour with me. We're good friends, and it's been really good having him in my corner. It's kind of relieved my parents, because they've been my main caregivers for a long time.
Has your experience given you a new perspective on life?
Yeah, I think I think I grew up really fast. I had to deal with something that no 16-year-old should have to deal with, and losing friends, living in a world of chaos. Like, how do you do that? And I had to grow up real quick to cope with everything and figure out how to move on, and move with it. Before my injury, even a little after. I grew up in the church. I was a Christian, and after my accident, I got a lot of like, this is God's plan. This is everything happens for a reason, and I would say that's one of the biggest things that kind of made me leave Christianity. I still consider myself a very spiritual person. I'm by no means an atheist, but I'm an agnostic, really. I love to ask questions. I don't like to have any kind of certainties. So the whole like, everything happens for a reason, this is God's plan, like, my immediate thought is like, what about my plans? Like, I had plans to become a professional pianist, professional musician, go to school for piano, and so I didn't really understand how that fits in with God, like, because God is in my eyes, God is love. Like, that's pretty much all God is. I think it's easier to say that everything happens for a reason. Like, that's just the way it is. And but I think there's another side to that we do live in a world of nature and chaos, and we can't really explain the things that happen. And it's kind of our choice to use what we have and use, like, flow with chaos, I guess.
Through overcoming these challenges and now getting back to the piano, and learning what your body's limits are and still pushing the limits, what is the relationship with music and your body now?
I mean, music is my expression. It always has been, and I'm beginning to realize, like, that there are a multitude of ways to do music, and before my injury, I could sit down at the piano and use 10 fingers in all one song. But just about a year ago, I was sitting in my room. I was bored. It was like 9 o'clock at night. It was dark out. And I was like, I'm going to go downstairs and play piano. And I put this brace on and put a pencil in the brace, and just started plucking one note at a time, and built some songs, and realized I could sing at the same time, and it was a pretty empowering discovery. When I perform those songs live, it's this healthy release of anger, and when it happens, it's blissful. Like, it's so joyful, because I'm a very angry person. Like, I have a lot of anger about my injury, the world around us, the corruption and the chaos that happens, and so finding ways to put that anger kind of through my body, playing piano or singing, is super healing for me. I've just started doing a lot more touring, and the tour we did in May to April, did 2 shows where I played for a bunch of people with spinal cord injuries, and it was the first time I've ever done that. Like, the audience was people with spinal cord injuries and family members of those people, and it felt really, I felt like I was actually making an impact. Like, oh, these, the couple of those kids are a couple years out of their injury, and they're, I know exactly where they're at, and they're, striving to get their body back. They're trying to figure out how to operate in life. And I think for them to see this dude who's 11 years out of his injury on tour, playing music, doing what he loves to do, was really good for people to see.
Mm-hmm.
And
how did you come up with the band name? Freaque? Yeah.
I mean, it comes from, living my life with a spinal cord injury, living in a chair. Like, you feel like a freak sometimes. Like, you just don't fit in with the standards of society. And I think on some level everybody feels that way. Not even just people in chairs, but everybody's got their quirks and their grief and their pain, and it's the thing that kind of makes us unique, and that's where art comes from. I think that weirdness, that goofiness, that anger, that grief, that pain, all that stuff.
Do you have any sort of advice for anyone out there? Any sort of message that you're trying to give to anybody?
We need to ask questions, and we need to dig deep into ourselves and our surroundings. Because if we're not asking questions, we're not growing. We're not, we're not building. And I think that's what we really need to be doing today.
Would you be able to play us a song?
Yeah, for sure.
Bag lady sings to no one. The bag lady always knows she never loved another. Walk the streets in a polka dot gown made of cigarette burns, crumpled up sticky notes, salami sewn into her navel. She knows she's beautiful. She knows she's unusual. Yes, she knows. Yes, she knows. She had 9 lives wrapped in a noose. She'll saddle up on a giant fig Newton and try to trace her song downtown. Tell the mayor, stick your money in your mouth. She's the bag lady. She's gonna take your greed. She's the bag lady. She's gonna take your greed. The bag lady won't sit down. She's too busy dismantling grounds. She died on the cross, came back to life and said, "Fuck you, God." She tore down the stairway to heaven, swung out wide on hell's iron gate. She knows she's beautiful. She knows she's unusual. Yes, she knows. gonna saddle up on a giant big Newton and try to trace horse on downtown. Tell the mayor stick your money in your mouth. She's the bag lady. She's gonna take your greed. She's the bag lady. She's gonna take your greed.